Hi, this is Billie Beene here with a U.S. News Flash Update. Today's date is September 16, 2024, time about 11 a.m. in Texas. This is U.S. episode 234. Some of the things we'll be covering. A strong geomagnetic storm coming in. Auroras likely in much of the U.S. Early winter, San Andreas prediction for 6's in the next 7 days, Yellowstone 5's, and ET's, oh my. And what's going on off of Alaska? The U.S. military is really ramping up there. Some of my sources are God in the Bible, Patriot subscriber, DUTCHSINSE, CLIF High. A recent interview by Greg Hunter of Steve Quayle, Task and Purpose, New York Prepper, CNN, ETN News Plus. So let's get started. So I want to bring this out. This is a new update by DUTCHSINSE and ETN News. Yesterday we had right off of Canada and Washington State, right off the coast, we had a 6.5, 20 miles deep, that is now reverberating along the U.S. West Coast and also down to Central America and South America. And what we can take away from DUTCHSINSE is that in the next 7 days, along the San Andreas, we could have a 6 to a 6.5, and in Yellowstone, 5's. So that's going on, and that is due to the reverberation of this earthquake. Plus, we had information from Mike from around the world about a week ago, about this area off of the Canada, Alaska, U.S. West Coast, underneath the water, that there on the ocean floor, there had been dramatic changes that were measured with instruments, a dramatic increase in temperature, a increase or change in salinity, and an increase or turbulence change in currents. Now, off of this coast, we also have a few miles out, under 16,000 miles down, we have one of the largest volcanoes that is currently active. I put that out about 3 to 6 months ago. So we see stuff happening underneath the ocean in this area. So DUTCHSINSE gives this. Next 7 days, San Andreas, 6 to 6.5. Next 7 days, Yellowstone, 5's. He's also predicting tremors or earthquakes coming down to Colorado and Texas along the craton edge. The craton is like a bedrock layer underneath the U.S. So that's going on. And now we have this. CNN is, this correlates with information I've been putting out, predicting an early winter. Right now we have a prediction in the Sierra Nevada mountain area, up 8,000 feet for 4 inches of snow. Also predictions for rain of 1 inch, which would equal 1 month of rain in certain areas. And warning early winter, Reno, Nevada, Medford area, Boise, Idaho, Redding, Bakersfield, Fresno, Sacramento. And in some areas, we could have a temperature drop within the next week, 15 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. So that correlates with the general picture I've been putting out, early and cold winter. And now from the National Hurricane Center, we have this going on. We have Tropical Storm number 8 right off and coming onshore today in the North Carolina, South Carolina area. This storm system currently has winds of 50 miles per hour, barometric 1005, moving northwest at 3 miles per hour. It's predicted to come onshore today and to come in with winds of 50 miles per hour today about 2 p.m. Coming in between Charleston and Wilmington. Rain of 6 to 8 inches, and then as it goes further inland, a decrease in winds and rain. So that's going on. We've also got now Tropical Depression Gordon. This is the one that was juiced up by the German and French military, according to MonkeyWorks last week. Currently at 35 miles per hour, barometric 1006, moving west at 7 miles per hour. So turning away from the U.S. So that's going on. Now, we have this. Yeah, this is, ETN News had also given out information about the 6.5 in this area. And I think I've covered, And Live Science is bringing out also information, in the Barents Sea area. Underwater volcanoes are currently spewing mud and methane. So that's going on. We've got a lot going on. Okay, now we'll talk about Alaska, the U.S. military, in the Aleutian Island chain off of Alaska, Shemya Island, Shemya, which is very close to Russia, the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia. So the distance between the U.S. military and Shemya Island and Kamchatka is 600 miles or 966 kilometers. Now, we've been hearing a few days ago about joint patrols by China and Russia coming very close to the airspace of the U.S. And now we have New York Prepper yesterday gave out information about an E6 Mercury in the Alaska area, and that a Russian plane, a pair of Russian planes was in this area yesterday. The U.S. scrambled planes to address the Russian planes. Now, New York Prepper says this is the third pair of Russian planes to come close to the U.S. airspace in the Alaska areas in the last few days. And we have this. Task and Purpose reports. The U.S. Army, Air Force have set up on Shemya Island in the Aleutians, including the 11th Airborne Division, the 1st and 3rd Task groups, and also Alpha battery, and we have Air Force and Army setting up, and they set up September 12. The U.S. Army sets up HIMARS in this area, and this is in response to the China-Russia planes that flew over this area with 4 bombers. That was in July. So we see the U.S. military setting up 600 miles off of Russia's coast with HIMARS, radar, Q-53 radar. We see the Army forming a perimeter around the island. We also have the Air Force 176th Wing from the Alaska Air National Guard also there. So we see the U.S. military setting up 600 miles off of the Russian coast. So that's going on. And now we have this. CLIF High, SUBSTACK. CLIF is bringing this out, and we've had other information. CLIF High, JWTV, I believe he's been bringing out some things. Now, CLIF High's information coming out yesterday is that a U.S. military special group has been distributing documents to law enforcement across the U.S., giving protocols on how to address ET ships and ETs. And they're specifically talking about the electromagnetic frequency that would be generated from either the ET crafts or the ETs themselves. The protocol to law enforcement is to stay away and, of course, call the U.S. military. I'd also like to bring up space weather. We had an X4.5 a couple of days ago. That's going to bring in today a strong G3. And because it's going to be strong, it could possibly go up to a G4 geomagnetic storm with a KP of 7 to 8. That means the U.S. would see auroras down to about this level. Now, with this geologic situation under the ocean and along the coast, and earthquakes and tremors and underwater volcanoes will be impacted by the strong G3 or G4 storm coming in today. That's my take. And now we have this. Further bolstering the information coming out from CLIF High about the U.S. military dropping off protocols to law enforcement, how to deal with ETs and ET crafts, is information coming out from Steve QUAYLE on a recent interview with Greg Hunter, USA Watchdog Today, that in southeast Montana, coming from underground, and I submit these monsters, I'll call them, coming from underground on the surface, could be coming up because it's getting hot underground. That correlates to the information I had from God in the fall of 2020. Magma is rising inside the earth in all directions. And frequency and vibration changes upon the earth are taking place with impact from space, impacting the sun, impacting earth. Now, Steve Quayle says these, and I believe they were Nephilim. We know in the past from the Bible we had the fallen angels, and they mated with humans. They made the hybrids. The Nephilim, the giants, like Goliath was a giant, supposed to be 9 to 12 feet tall, 6 toes and fingers. Nephilim, not human and not redeemable, because I put this out before. They don't receive the Spirit of God. They're not created by God. Nephilim. And they're coming up in this area, southeast Montana, according to Steve Quayle. And a few days ago, and the U.S. military sent in a kill team. Steve asked them what they were using to kill the Nephilim. They reported they're using 40-millimeter grenades, fragment grenades, and other explosives. They are giants, 9 to 12 feet tall, 6 toes and 6 fingers. And the U.S. military briefing to Steve was, guns alone won't kill them. You have to use explosives. But that, I found ironic, correlates with that information coming out from CLIF High. So, keep your powder dry, baby. I love you, and I'll see you soon.